Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my 20 weeks pregnancy update. Oh my gosh, we are actually halfway through this pregnancy. That is absolutely crazy to me. I know I say that and I've been saying that in all my videos so far, but it feels so much more real now that we're halfway through. This week, according to the Bump app, the baby is the size of a banana, and according to the Ovia app, the baby is the size of an endive. Who knows what that is? The baby, according to the Bump app, the baby is supposed to be around like 10.50 ounces or something along those lines, and our baby is actually weighing in at 13 ounces, so I am a happy mama about that. I have so much to tell you guys today. We had our 20-week ultrasound and appointment the other day, so I have a lot to tell you guys about how that went. And I also have some ultrasound pictures that I'm going to show you. And then also at the end of this video, I might include some of the things that we have bought for the baby, and then I will show you my baby bump. So if I don't show you guys the things that we bought for the baby, I will actually just make that into a different video, because I think it's just this video is gonna be a little bit longer than some of the other ones. So yeah, if you want to see some of the baby items and it's not in this video, just go and check out my channel and make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you know when I upload that video. Let's go ahead and get into the symptoms. So my clumsiness is at an all-time high. I am not typically a very clumsy person, and for some strange reason, I feel like I have just gotten so much more clumsy lately. And I don't know if it's just kind of one of those things that, like, I read about being pregnant with a boy, that sometimes you can become more clumsy, and so it's kind of just something that's like in my head. But I honestly do believe that I am more clumsy than I was before I was pregnant. So that has been interesting. He is kicking a lot more consistently now, guys. It is so exciting. And I feel like I'm starting to notice like certain times of the day that he kicks a lot. Like first thing in the morning, I feel like he is just river dancing or something in my belly, because I feel like kick. I just feel kick after kick. And my husband has also felt some pretty good kicks from him. But I mean, it's funny because the baby actually kicks a lot more whenever my husband's not around, so it's kind of sad to me that he doesn't really get to feel him when he's like I said, in there just like river dancing or something. So but yeah, it makes me really happy to know that he is like in there and just kicking around and everything. So another symptom that I've had this past week that has been very noticeable is that I feel like sweat is just pouring out from every crevice in my body. I know that might be like a little bit too much information, but yeah, I mean, it's real, guys. It's like there's too much sweat, and it's such an annoyance. So I figured I would let you guys know about that. I've had a lot of cramping in my lower abdomen, and it's just kind of like a feeling of, I mean, it's cramping and like heaviness, and it kind of just feels like he is like putting a lot of pressure like up against the very front of my abdomen. And I notice it a lot when I'm walking. It just feels like I almost feel like I'm like having to waddle a little bit, because the cramping is just feels so strange. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain the exact feeling. But I also have had those like sharp abdominal pains that I told you guys about in last week's video. And I did ask my doctor about that, and she said that she's not really worried, that it's just kind of something that happens when your uterus is expanding. And my uterus is all the way up to my belly button now. So it has grown quite a bit. So I can only imagine that that would cause some, pains and stuff like that. As far as cravings go this past week, I honestly feel like my cravings have gone so much, have like decreased so much than they have in previous weeks. I mean, I do have a much larger appetite than I used to, and I feel like I can eat a lot more, but I'm definitely not having those like super intense cravings that I was in previous weeks, like I said. But if I did have any cravings this past week, it was the pintos and cheese from Taco Bell with hot sauce in it. We actually, after my doctor's appointment, we actually stopped and got 2 of those for me because I was just like craving that so bad. So the number one symptom I'd have to say was probably the worst this week is my feelings of anxiety. My anxiety has been skyrocketing this week, and it has just been extremely overwhelming. And as some of you guys may already know, I actually do suffer from depression and anxiety. I was diagnosed about 4 years ago, and pre-pregnancy, I was actually on medications for both of them. I decided when we started trying to have a baby to just get off of all of my medications. Now, I know that some people will suggest that being on the medication, being on a safe medication, is a lot better for the baby and the mother's mental health. And I do somewhat agree with that, but I also am just afraid to put anything in my body. But I promise that if it gets to a point where it's bad enough, I will definitely consider getting back on a safe medication. But yeah, so this past week, my anxiety has kind of come back in full swing. Up until this point, I have done really, really well. I feel like my anxiety and depression has kind of like taken a back seat, and my pregnancy has just been on my mind so much that I think that it gave me the opportunity to not focus so much on my depression and anxiety. So I just wanted to make sure that I let you guys know a little bit of a backstory on that, and not that I didn't suffer from those pre-pregnancy and that it just all of a sudden popped up. So that is really like all of the symptoms that I've had this past week. It hasn't been too bad. Like I said, probably the worst thing has been my anxiety and just like all the sweat and everything. But I will go ahead and start telling you guys about my ultrasound and doctor's appointment experience. So I think this is where a lot of my anxiety kicked in this week. We went to the 20-week ultrasound, and I think just the fact that I was having to lay on my back made me start feeling like really lightheaded and just a little bit like nauseous and stuff. And so I started to kind of like, we were only like 5 minutes into the ultrasound, and I started to kind of like break out in a sweat a little bit and start feeling really, really lightheaded. And you know, so I was kind of like moving around a little bit, and the ultrasound tech, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I don't think I am." And because I literally, guys, I felt like I was at the point where I might just pass out. And so I think that really freaked me out. And so she was like, "Okay, I need you to roll over onto your side, and we'll just finish it. We'll finish the ultrasound on your side." And if you guys don't already know, the 20-week ultrasound is an hour-long ultrasound. So like I said, we were only 5 minutes in when this happened. And so I just felt kind of bad about that. But I think the fact that that happened to me after that, when I rolled over onto my side, you know, she kept asking me, "Are you okay now? Are you okay now?" And I just broke out and started hysterically crying. And this is kind of embarrassing. Like, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to tell you guys this story, just because I feel like I feel kind of silly about it. I don't know. It's just kind of embarrassing to me that is how I reacted, because a lot of people, I think are just super excited to be able to go to their ultrasounds and see the baby and everything. And I was very excited. Don't get me wrong. I really wanted to see the baby, and I'm glad, like, I was really glad to be there. I was anticipating this appointment, but all of a sudden, you know, like I said, I don't know if it was just the fact that I was on my back and I started feeling that, you know, lightheadedness and all that stuff, and I think that scared me, along with the fact that I was already kind of nervous about just what the 20-week ultrasound meant, because that is the ultrasound where they're checking everything to make sure that all of the baby's organs and all that stuff is you know, like working properly and all that other stuff, and that there's nothing wrong with the baby. So I'm getting out of breath. But so I think it was a combination of those two things, that I was already kind of nervous about this ultrasound, and, you know, I knew that there was a very low probability of there being something wrong, because we did have previous like testing, like the NIPT and testing for spina bifida and all that stuff, and everything came back as, you know, negative. So I knew there was a very low probability, but I think my emotions just took over, and I kept telling myself that everything was going to be fine, everything was going to be fine. But like I said, those hormones and emotions just kind of took over, and I think ever since the ultrasound and that appointment, I have just been still feeling kind of that overwhelming feeling of all that, even though at the ultrasound they basically told us that everything looked great, and he was growing properly and all this other stuff. And like I said, he was actually weighing in at 13 ounces, and so that is a little bit bigger than what all of the things that I've read that a 20-week baby is usually at. So I was very, very happy to hear all of that. Now, we do actually have to go back to get another ultrasound in 4 weeks for my 24-week appointment, because he was moving around so much, guys. Like, he moved around basically the entire appointment. And so we just have to go back for them to just get a few more pictures of his spine. But from what they could see so far, they were able to like see his spine and like get a few pictures. And from what they could see, they said that everything looked great. So I'm very happy about that. I will show you guys the pictures of the ultrasound in just a second. But I did want to tell you guys what else that I learned from this ultrasound. I learned that my placenta is actually anterior to the baby. And I had no idea what that meant. But when I went and asked my doctor, and you can actually Google anterior placenta, and it will tell you that that means the placenta is basically in front of the baby on your belly side. And so I am thinking, I had no idea that's where my placenta was located. And I honestly wouldn't have guessed that that was where it was, because we were able to find his heartbeat at 9 weeks and a couple of days. And usually when your placenta is anterior, it's a little bit more difficult to find the baby's heartbeat through the placenta. And so, like I said, I never would have guessed that. So I'm thinking that my placenta is actually located kind of at the top of my uterus. So like, if this is my uterus, I'm thinking that it's in the front of my belly, on my belly side, but it's like up top on my uterus. And that's totally fine. It's totally fine to have an anterior placenta. It's just, I honestly didn't think that that was the case. Like I said, because of the whole heartbeat thing, and because I was able to start feeling him kick. I think it was 18 weeks that I was able to feel him kick. And that's a little bit, it's not early. I know there are a lot of people that feel their babies kick even earlier than that, but 18 weeks is slightly early compared to some people who do not even feel their baby kick until like 22 weeks. So I thought that was kind of interesting to learn about. They also said that the baby was breech, which means that he is basically like standing upwards in my uterus, which is very interesting to me, like how a baby can basically be like upward like that in your uterus. And it doesn't surprise me because my belly, it feels like he's always kicking very low. So now I know that, you know, that's the reason why, is because he's basically standing upwards and his little feet are down there like kicking really low. But they did also say that they're not worried about him being breech right now. The only time that they worry about, sorry, I'm getting out of breath again. The only time they worry about the baby being breech is, I think they said around like 36 weeks. If the baby is breech, they kind of start to, it kind of causes some concern because they need the baby to be obviously head down. And the last thing that I'll tell you guys about the ultrasound before I show you the pictures is that I have told you guys before that I have a growing fibroid located on the outside of my placenta, which is something that the doctors are not as worried about as if the fibroid was located on the inside of the uterus. But I actually learned that I have 2 fibroids that are pretty large, and they're basically like right next to each other on the outside of my uterus. So I thought that was interesting to learn about that. I mean, I can definitely tell that I have the I thought there was only one, but I can definitely tell that it's there because I have these really hard like lumps in that side of my stomach. And so I thought I would just go ahead and like let you guys know about that. And if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to like leave me a comment down below. I love to hear from you guys and like love to hear what you're experiencing. And also, like, if you remember your 20-week, you know, ultrasound and stuff like that, let me know down below like what yours was like and all that stuff. So, but I think that's all I have to share with you guys about the ultrasound and the symptoms and everything. So let me grab the pictures real quick. Okay, so here are some of the pictures of my baby. So let me show you. I cut these apart so my husband could take one. So here is the baby, and that's like the profile of him. And I think you can see his little, I don't know if that's his hand right there or the placenta, the umbilical cord, because they were able to kind of show us like the umbilical cord and everything too. So that's him, his profile. And then we also have, let's see if I can show you guys. This is another profile. And then we also have confirmation. I mean, we were pretty sure because we had a blood test to tell us the gender of the baby, but this is the confirmation that it's a boy. And then the top picture is kind of freaky. I don't know if you guys, like, this is, I don't know if you guys are even going to be able to tell exactly what this is, but this is basically him looking straight forward. And like you can kind of see his eyes, and they were showing us like his lips and his nose and everything like that. You can't, I mean, you can't really tell, but they were able to tell us that everything looked fine, like I said, and that there was no cleft palate. Okay guys, well, I think this video has been running a little bit longer than usual, so I don't think I'm going to show you guys some of the items that we have bought for the baby in this video. So like I said, make sure you guys are subscribed, that way you can know when I upload. Like I might just call it a baby haul or something like that, or I might just include it in next week's video, kind of just depending on how things go. And also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I will have my Instagram name in my end clip, and either Twitter or Facebook. That way you guys can see like baby bump pictures. And yeah, so I will go ahead and show you guys the baby bump now, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.